We design and manufacture exosuits that take the strain off of hardworking men and women around the world. So essentially, it is a soft, flexible exosuit. So don't think rigid exoskeleton, don't think Iron Man, don't think any of that kind of stuff. This is a really practical, no motors, no batteries, uses elastic bands to power it, assistive device that helps people who work in warehouses, manufacturing lines, things like that. It basically takes a lot of extra strain off the back.
Welcome to Future Fuzz, the digital marketing podcast.
So Paul Nicholson, marketing strategy consultant at HeroWear. Thank you so much for joining me on the Future Fuzz podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be here.
What's the best thing that's happened to you this week?
Well, I'd say probably one of the best things for me. I'm in this interesting mode of still consulting at HeroWear and helping out there while also kind of looking for my next awesome opportunity. And I've really gotten to kind of look back at my own career, not just at HeroWear, but other places, and sort of, been doing a lot of introspection and learning from it, which is cool.
Yeah.
But also been able to talk with a couple of different people this week who've just good old fashioned mentoring. When you're busy, you're in the trenches, you don't have time for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really good to kind of back up and be able to say, like, I've been at this for 25 years, but I still have things to learn about myself and about the industry and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
It's always nice to have that moment when you can take a pause and look back at what you've accomplished so far, and also sort of dust off that Rolodex and say, who do I need to build relationships or continue relationships with, or, having that headspace to be able to do that. I'm sure
Absolutely.
It's refreshing. Yeah. So for HeroWear, what's the 30-second pitch for those that may not know what it's about?
Yeah, so we design and manufacture exosuits that take the strain off of hardworking men and women around the world. That's the pitch. So essentially, it is a soft, flexible exosuit. So don't think rigid exoskeleton, don't think Iron Man, don't think any of that kind of stuff. This is a really practical, no motors, no batteries, uses elastic bands to power it. Assistive device that helps people who work in warehouses, manufacturing lines, things like that. It basically takes a lot of extra strain off the back. It works like an extra set of back muscles. That's the other easy way we say. We kind of talk about it. Yeah.
What's interesting is that you didn't just launch a product. You spent years essentially creating a whole new category. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I got brought onto HeroWear a couple of months after they had formally announced the product to the world, but essentially, like, no product actually existed to ship yet. Like, we were still pre-revenue, and we were really kind of, depending on how you count and things, really only about the second to fourth, somewhere in there, industrial sort of safety oriented exoskeleton to come on the market. And so we were establishing not just the new product and the new company, but also the whole new category, because the few companies that had come before us were European. There was only kind of one company in the United States at that point, and they were taking very different approaches and really had mostly been kind of as everybody starts out, right? You start out with your bespoke customers that you've sort of built in initial relationships with and that sort of stuff. Very few of the other companies had done anything that you would sort of traditionally call brand building, market building sort of activities. So yeah, it was I quickly sort of worked out, we laid out our goals and everything as a company, and quickly that became a pretty top priority. Was we need to, in order for people to consider us as an exoskeleton of choice, or an exoskeleton, those terms are used interchangeably. They had to know that exoskeletons were a practical, real thing.
Yeah, of course.
And so, like, it was very quick that, if people come looking, the other way to sort of think about it was, if people came looking for exosuits and exoskeletons, we were pretty quickly going to rise to the top of that list. But they needed to come looking for exosuits and exoskeletons. And if we tried to reverse it, if we tried to say HeroWear is the best exoskeleton on the market, but nobody had any frame of reference for what an exoskeleton was on a practical, usable tool, as a practical, usable tool in an industry, it doesn't matter, So yeah, that quickly became job one for the first. I mean, really, we're still doing it to some degree.
Yeah.
But for the first 2 or 3 years, that was absolutely job one.
And for the folks that are thinking about exosuits that you have to convince it's not science fiction, what does
Yeah.
that challenge look like?
I think what's interesting, and again, I don't bash our competitors here. Like a lot of good companies are doing a lot of good work. The problems that we're all collectively trying to solve and build in this industry, we're all in it together.
Yeah.
So I really truly believe that rising tide lifts all boats. However, I did notice pretty quickly, and this is still something that I think some of our competitors can fall into sometimes. The natural inclination is I have something that looks and feels and sounds like it belongs in a movie and it's sci-fi.
Yeah.
Let's lean into that. Let's
Yeah.
make it super cool and super elevated. And I pretty quickly, to me, what sort of clicked was that's going to be automatic. Like all the users go there automatically, all the potential buyers, which it's worth saying for the most part, none of us are trying to sell to the users. We're mostly trying to sell to the companies to buy it on behalf of users.
Okay.
Um, and so it became pretty quickly that pretty obvious that people were going to go jump to that conclusion automatically. That my job needed to be no. It's practical. This is real world. This is this actually exists. It's actually usable in your environments and whatever. And so,
and it's not Ripley and Alien.
Exactly. Yeah. Tom Cruise in Edge of Tomorrow. Tony Stark and Iron Man. Pick your Elysium. Like there's all these cool exoskeletons that people have been exposed to their whole lives. And as cool as those are, this ain't it. And actually I will describe because I maybe should have had one for the video at least, but I could describe for people who are listening just audio too. The way our device looks like a backpack. So the straps absolutely look exactly like a normal backpack strap. And instead of a big backpack on your back, it's like a completely flat panel. So almost invisible. You could sit comfortably in a chair and lean back and it feels like you don't have anything on.
Okay.
And then connected to that panel in the back are two, and it's a very flexible panel and stuff too. Connected to that panel are two long rubber bands. They're basically really, really big rubber bands. That's exactly what they are. And then those connect to two sleeves that sort of wrap around your thigh. Think way more comfortable than sort of as a frame of reference, like a climbing harness, if you've ever seen something like that. But the straps are wider. They don't ride up on you, so to speak, quite as much as a climbing harness will. They're meant to more wrap around the thigh, and they kind of stay put on the thigh. That's actually one of the more difficult design challenges our R&D folks have reminded me several times is the leg sleeves are the hard part to make comfortable. Anyway, so it's all textile based. It's all fabric, right? And so number one, showing people the suit that like, this is not a load lifter from Aliens.
Yeah.
So that helped, number one. But number two was as quickly as possible, like get away from, we did some photo shoots and stuff like that, but get away from the bespoke, clean photo shoot kind of look and get pictures of real people using it in the warehouse. The more pictures, the more videos of real people working in the warehouse that we can get, the better. And we just tried to saturate every bit of our marketing that we did and everything that we could do with real people. And so I got used to talking to people about media releases, and it was an interesting challenge because another whole challenge we've had in this is none of the companies that we talked with, like some of the biggest companies in the world, immediately wanted to talk with us about product, and none of them wanted to be named. Nobody wanted the secret out that they were looking at this cool new tech. We actually had one company early on who went as far as to ask us to sign an exclusivity to say nobody else don't sell to anybody else in our industry. Don't sell to, and it was actually 3PLs, which is a massive potential industry. They were like, we don't sell to any other 3PLs for the next 5 years. We're like, no. Thank you for asking. I'm glad you like it and you think it's going to be, that's cool, but no.
Interesting.
Anyway, but they wouldn't let us use their names.
Yeah.
But I was really surprised with warehouses how many of them would allow us to shoot pictures and videos as long as we blurred logos and that sort of thing. So we were able to get all this great footage, and yeah, man, at that point, all you have to do is say, this device has been peer reviewed a million ways from Sunday to show that it demonstrates and it does these things, all these academic papers that had already come out by that point. And here's a video of a guy using it. That's kind of all we needed to do from a branded marketing perspective. The other big piece that we did, though, to kind of establish, again, this was more establishing the industry, the exoskeleton category, was doing a lot of earned media and PR.
Okay.
So doing a lot of press because that built credibility,
Of
right?
course.
Like
Yeah.
I can put out all the cool ads and all the marketing I want, but the whole industry needed credibility. So thankfully we had a lot of, like I said, a lot of good science, a lot of good data that we could reference, and some really good writers that we've been able to leverage over the years from agencies, in-house writing, and then we've got a slate of experts. We're blessed with having all three of our co-founders at HeroWear are really good communicators.
Okay.
And so being able to get them on podcasts and being able to get them on do bylines and publications and things like that, got the word out there about what we were doing, but did it in a very implied endorsement sort of validating way, right?
And that's powerful when you can have the founders and the people behind the brand be articulate enough to tell the story about the company's vision in a way that's compelling. That a lot of founders don't have that luxury. Yeah. And you said you have three of them there, so the combination of them telling that story in their own voices. I think there's nothing more powerful than doing that, because then it really builds authenticity with your audience and with your clients. If you can figure like, hey, we're so passionate about this, we built this company, and we're so excited to tell you our story, I think is really powerful.
And they're always going to know it better than anybody else, right? They know it and live it and breathe it inside and out. And so when it comes to a podcast or an article or whatever, they're going to be able to pull in references and thoughts and connections that, there are a lot of times over the years where that's been the case for us, where some really awesome value propositions or talking points like we'd never thought of before came up in a podcast. And, if we had one of those executives that I love and worked with in the past, but are not as media friendly, right? And they're like deer in headlights as soon as they're get a microphone in front of them. If they weren't able to think on the fly and put that stuff together, like those moments wouldn't have happened. So yeah, very, very blessed. And I'll also shout out that we have not only the three co-founders, Mark, Carl, and Matt, who are great communicators. We were also able to add, we got a lot of great people on the team. I'm going to name them all, but we also were able to add after a while, Jennifer Jones, JJ, to everybody, who's our director of client services, who's also a great communicator. And what we were able to do kind of with that is we had this stable of experts. So we had the head of R&D, we had somebody who's in the warehouses, runs the training team, who's in warehouses with like the user voice. In JJ, R&D was Matt. Sort of the science and academia and validation side, data side was Carl. He runs the lab at Vanderbilt that the suit came out of. And then Mark as sort of the business case. This is why it's going to fundamentally change, because he's a serial entrepreneur. Like his previous company was a genetics information processing company. So like he is by the way, also a brilliant guy. He has a cancer biology PhD. Like all three of our co-founders are PhDs, science PhDs. So again, embarrassment of riches. But anyway, so we had this stable of great experts that regardless of which publication we went to, what angle they wanted to take, we could pick and choose, the right expert for the right topic, and we sort of built them up over the years.
It's like you have not that we want to go back to the Iron Man analogy, but you were building a team of Avengers there.
Actually, a little bit. So whatever strengths we needed, whether we needed somebody who would speak on the fly, and also just pure availability, right? Like, man, we were in the middle of our Series A fundraise. Mark he was as a CEO, he wasn't doing any press or anything. Like he was head down doing a Series A. Carl and JJ and some other people did more heavy lifting during that period too, right? So it was great. And to your point, most places are lucky to have one or two executives that are great in front of a microphone. You got all your eggs in one basket. It gets tough.
Future Fuzz is sponsored by SalesSource, B2B pipeline management and sales growth for your business.
And what's powerful about that ability to communicate those ideas and concepts effectively is now we're in an age where you can record something like that once and just repurpose it in a bunch of different formats, white papers, LinkedIn posts, and there's so many different ways. And you think, oh, it was only like a 15 or 20 minute conversation. But I haven't been podcasting since 2014. I sometimes keep forgetting how many gems just get sort of like shared in a short
Mhm.
conversation. And I think when you look at it from a marketing perspective, you're like, oh my God, he said that. And sometimes they're so used to saying the same thing over and over again, but they say it in different ways. And
Right.
then you're like, oh, we haven't heard him say it like that. Like we can run with
Yep.
that. Yeah.
That's
So it's
another whole blog we just
yeah,
we get out of there. Yeah, let's stretch
yeah,
that one.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No,
So
yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So what misconceptions did you have to overcome repeatedly?
Wow. I mean, the number one, like I said, everybody immediately jumps to Iron Man and all of that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. The number one misconception was that this is going to make people stronger. That like I'm going to be able to
Oh,
lift. Now I don't have to do team lifts. That like my guys can lift 100 pounds each. You're
yeah,
like, nope, nope,
yeah,
nope, no. Like there is even the motorized powered exosuits can't do that, right?
yeah.
Like there are just practical limitations. There's a couple of companies that have tried to develop that kind of stuff over the years. There are, but they're like they look like Alien, the load lifters from Alien, and they are incredibly slow moving and
Oh
stuff. So
yeah.
like this ain't that, right? So we had to dissuade people from that thinking pretty quickly. But I think the other piece I think was people needing to um like they were sort of incredulous. They didn't believe the stats that we were quoting.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and so being able to sort of convince them that like this was real, this was practical, and you could actually see these benefits
yeah.
um, was a heavier lift because our claims were pretty bold. Because that's what the science is bearing out. It really is it's an exciting new industry to be in.
Yeah.
It's a challenge as a marketer to um, have to round down and like it's good
Play
discipline
it
to
down.
to
Yeah.
yeah, we're playing down our own numbers, which I've never usually had to do as a marketer before.
You
um,
mentioned nothing beats trying on the suit. Can you describe what people experience in that moment?
we've tried to create some clips over the years of people doing it, but like almost universally, everybody's first reaction is wow.
Oh,
Um, because and I think it's because again, we're telling you it's going to take off a lot of strain, it's going to take off a lot of load, but being able to put it on and realize how sort of natural the assistance feels. Like again, one of the advantages of the way the suit works is these elastic bands run down your lower back and they literally function like an extra set of back muscles. Like
oh,
they run
oh,
in
yeah.
parallel to your
Okay.
back muscles, and as your back muscles stretch, the bands stretch, and as your back muscles contract, the bands contract, and they're literally doing some of the work for you.
Okay.
A lot more science we can go into if this is a different podcast. Um but because of that, it's really natural feeling. It doesn't feel weird. And I think
Okay.
that's, one of the other questions that people have a lot of times is like, oh, well, okay, you're offloading some of the strain off my back. Where else is it going? It's
Yeah.
going to go to a different body
Yeah.
part,
Yeah.
right? And so when you put the suit on, you realize like, oh no, like it's barely a little bit of, you feel a tiny bit of pressure on your shoulders as the shoulder straps, on the top part, are taking a little bit of load. And again, tiny little bit of pull
Yeah.
on the thigh sleeves, but it's minuscule. And again, lots of good physics and stuff going on that besides just the bands doing some of the work themselves, it really is very, very comfortable and practical to use. And so, I mean, because of that, as much as my background, I came up from Dell.
Hmm.
I was a digital marketing guy who like modernized and added e-commerce to a bunch of restaurant companies over the years and to healthcare companies and stuff. I've got a deep background in digital marketing, but especially at HeroWear and a little bit even at some of my previous roles, like really started to learn the value of in-person marketing, which I
Hmm.
think I'm also a firm believer is going to get even more important in the age of AI and like everybody's going to question kind of what's real and stuff and be like, if I am standing next to you at a trade show booth and I am letting you try on my exosuit, like I can't fake that, right?
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah, it feels like
visceral,
when it's more of a call to that because it's something we had chatted about earlier, but this idea that not being able to distinguish between what is AI and what is real, and
yeah,
that's really why people are leaning more towards in-person experiences. And do you see them
yeah.
eventually, or just paralleling what digital plays are going to be happening now? Or
I mean, I think it's gonna, yeah, I mean it's gonna be both. I mean, I think it depends on the brand and what's going on. There's been some other companies that I've worked with before where we did like in person, even when it's a SaaS solution or
yeah,
something like that, right? Like you can still do an in person meetup. Like people are
sure,
still like I think again the pandemic probably taught a lot of us. We've all got trauma from never talking to people.
yeah,
We recognize the value of networking. We used to groan and like whatever, and like now realize like, actually that's really important. That's
hmm
really valuable experience to get to see people and network and talk. And even as great as video conferencing has gotten, and as good as that experience can be, there's still something different when you're in the room with them. The level of being able to read the body language and all that sort of stuff, and
Yeah.
say like, okay, I'm from a salesperson perspective, as an example, sales or marketing, like I'm making my pitch, but I can tell this isn't sinking in,
Yeah.
and it's really easy to not be able to read that even with a video call and be able to hear their voice, and um, it's just different.
Yeah.
And so things can be more effective that way, and people are more free to be more relaxed. And yeah, so I think in-person stuff, whether it's trade shows, conferences, things like that, or meetups, we're gonna buy out the back room of a restaurant and
Hmm.
invite everybody for a happy hour, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Goes a long way.
Powerful.
Yeah.
It's powerful, and you want to talk about ROI and things like that. Like that's one of the things that, again, coming up with a lot of digital marketing, I actually had to learn a lot of this stuff, the out of home and print, and a lot of the stuff that we ended up using at HeroWear to a lot of success, and earned media and other stuff I was talking about earlier. Like I didn't have as much experience with that for a while. I had used a little bit of I done some PR at Dell and analyst relations and stuff at Dell, but
Okay.
that was ancient history. That had been 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, so I had to brush off a lot of these skills, and I think that stuff, um, it just feels more real. It's
Mm.
more, it is more real, right?
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
Yeah, because even from the AI perspective, like even if you're trusting that what you're seeing is real, and like I said, I think people on both sides of the glass don't like it's going to be cool and powerful, and it is, but it's also makes us question everything because is what I'm seeing true
Yeah.
or not? So, which maybe there's a little bit of that that's healthy, by the way, but um, we marketers have been able to get away with a lot for a long
That's
time. I
true.
think
That's
it's
true.
okay for people to start questioning things that
Yeah.
they
The
hear.
pendulum always swings back the other way.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that in-person stuff and those in-person experiences will give people, I don't know, just a chance to connect. Marketers always talk about wanting authenticity and building connection
Yeah.
with brands and stuff like that, and like that's the best way to do it. And it was the ramble I was starting on a second ago. Like the relative cost to generate the quality of leads you get, especially for B2B, right? Like
Yeah.
B2C can be different stuff, but even then you've got, fairs and festivals and things you can do. But the ROI you get versus I'm going to drop $10,000 on a happy hour on a like happy hour dinner or something like that
Yeah.
versus, depending on the scale, obviously, versus $10,000 on a digital marketing campaign. All right, count up the number of, MQLs and SQLs you get and the quality of those, and how many of them are real, like actually turn into something valuable. Man, I'll take my odds with a trade show
Mm.
against the digital marketing campaign dollar for dollar. Again, depends on the market, depends on the needs, depends on the, because clearly at HeroWare we're selling to a lot of guys who run warehouses.
Yeah.
If I was selling to guys who run your actuaries working in insurance companies or something, maybe it's
It's
maybe it's a little
different.
bit
Yeah.
different.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah, but yeah,
What do you think has changed about trust, especially as we keep talking about these AI generated content?
man, I think trust is in short supply. I don't know. This could get philosophical and or depressing really quick. But
Well, just
um,
keeping your marketing hat on, just
yeah,
thinking about the, what we're the environment we're operating in now.
it's making a lot of marketers have to go back to first principles
Mm.
and figure some things out,
Yeah.
because the users, the consumers of the messaging, whether they are B2B, B2C, whoever, um, I think rightly are starting to question a lot. At the same time, over the last, I was gonna say few years, 5 years, whatever it's been at this point, that Google and team have been, and Apple and others have been sort of taking away some of our toys as marketers, we'll put it that way,
Yeah.
right? Like with the cookieless world that we theoretically might eventually get to, and all of this
Yeah.
kind of stuff, right? Like rightfully so. A lot of good privacy laws getting passed in Europe. I'm one of those people, like from a marketing perspective, I hate that stuff. From a personal perspective, I love that
That's
stuff.
true. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. You got to keep
I don't want to give my
switching
personal
hats.
information away. Yeah, exactly. And so we've lost a lot of those tools that we used to have.
Mm.
We used to be able to super hyper target stuff, right? And super um uh customize the message and be ultra efficient and know that every dollar we were spending was going to exactly the right people and all of this kind of stuff. And I think we're having to relearn some of the basic principles of almost the Mad Men era, right? Of like just basic advertising and how many impressions does it take? Um, suddenly out of home and print and things like that aren't that much worse. They're not that much less trackable than some digital activities these days.
Yeah, that's true.
So we're having to do that on the marketing side. And I think because of that, because you can't customize the message, because it's not as sort of narrow, super focused, we're having to get better at general messaging. We don't know exactly who's going to see this, where they're going to see it, how they're going to see it. And then from the consumer side, I think hopefully the message is getting out there. And I think it will start to more and more for more people, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I can't trust this. Or, I think what makes the headlines, what makes the news are when it's some politician or some celebrity or something that's getting faked or something like that, right? But I think it'll probably be pretty quick that they're like, how do I say this? I think some marketers are abusing the tools.
Yeah.
And it is quickly showing people what this stuff can do, and it's gonna kind of ruin the effectiveness of some of the tools. And I guess sort of the example that it's in my head is, I'm trying to think. I feel like this has probably already been done, and it's just on the tip of my tongue, and I can't think of it. But let's hypothetically think in the future, without throwing anybody under the bus. A company that comes out with a Super Bowl ad that features John Wayne endorsing their product, or somebody who's long dead, right? Well, everybody's going to look at that and go, clearly John Wayne did not endorse OpenAI or whatever, again, not trying to throw anybody under the bus. Clearly he did not endorse this product. Clearly this is fake. Wait, what else am I looking at as fake? What else, and what else can I trust? And if that's the case, then, again, it's going to make it that much more challenging for marketers to, like, believability and credibility become exceptionally valuable.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And I think the kind of connected to that, I mean, going back to what I was talking about, we use a lot of earned media, PR and things like that. Like AI's got its downsides, but let's face it, like AI is replacing search for a lot of people and all that sort of stuff. Like, what's great for earned media PR work is, again, it's kind of old school Mad Men level stuff, but the upside has been AI eats that stuff up, And
you talked about the brand neutral articles you were publishing.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, because I was telling somebody I had coffee with this morning, we were talking about this, and the level of, the great thing about AI as a search engine is, back old school, we needed to try to reverse engineer the Google algorithm and guess, and like we were hanging on the every word of the Google search Twitter account, and like, how does this actually work, and how do we game it for ourselves and stuff. The cool thing about AI is it'll tell you. So, pro tip to a marketer, like, search what you want to search in an AI to, pull up ChatGPT, whatever you want to do. Say, what would you recommend in insert your category here? And then the next question is, why did you recommend that?
Yeah.
And it'll just tell you. It'll tell you the playbook that you need to follow.
That's so smart.
And so, like, but what's interesting is, if we've done that, like, why did you, is it will cite articles from third-party publications.
Okay.
Like all the backlink building we used to do, our own, all the tons of content we built on our own sites. AI didn't care. And I learned a lot of this from people a lot smarter than me who've done a lot more research. AI does not really care that much about the content that's on your website. It cares way more in terms of like brand and product recommendations and that sort of stuff. Answering specific questions about your product, absolutely. It'll, you're the authority there. But it's basically Reddit and third-party publications. And so what's great for us from here, where we had been doing all of this brand building and category building with all of these brand neutral third-party articles. Well, now if you go to any of the big AIs and ask them, what should I look for in an industrial exosuit? It reads like one of our sales decks. It doesn't say HeroWear all over. Although we are one of the top ones that usually gets recommended if you look for a back assist exosuit. We're pretty much always near the top, but more consistently than that, the messaging matches ours exactly.
Mm.
Like what to look for when you're looking for an exosuit, how to plan an exosuit implementation, how to all these things that we've been putting in it all just it's our stuff being regurgitated back to us. And I am happy that I don't care that it's not on HeroWearExo.com.
Yeah.
You know, I want it to be on this is another thing worth noting when I'm talking about PR and earned media and stuff like this. A lot of people are like, oh, okay, cool. So you're hiring a PR agency, spending tons of time and effort to get 1 or 2 articles in Forbes and the Wall Street Journal every year. No.
Yeah.
We've gotten a couple of bites on some of the big boys. That's great. In our space, it's Food Logistics Magazine, Environmental Health and Safety Today, modern material handling, the stuff that's on your coffee table, I'm sure, right?
Light reading, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the trade publications
of course.
Find the trade publications that people are reading, and those publications are desperate for content, you know. And like I love them. I don't mean that to sound insulting, but like they're short-staffed, times are tough. They need content, so I could come to them and say, "Hey, here's a cool new technology that's breaking through the industry. I've got a team of experts. Happy to write you a brand neutral article. You want that for Q3? Yes, please."
Yeah, it's so interesting. Such a great approach. I think about the marketing levels of awareness: problem aware, solution aware, product aware, right most aware, and it's like really figuring out where you want to play in each one of those. And this is a great way to be thinking about that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a playbook that can be used potentially even on the B2C side, right? But certainly in lots of different B2B industries.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily think PR and earned media means trying to get on the Today Show. There's a lot more to it than that.
There's
almost nothing on the Today Show is earned media anymore. That's all paid.
It's very old school, having grown up in that era. So as we wrap up, Paul, if listeners only remember one idea about industrial exosuits or even about building trust in a new category, which is what you've highlighted here, what should it be?
I mean, I guess it would sort of be something that our CEO actually just presented at a conference, A+A, one of the world's, I think it's the world's largest safety conference in Germany, back just last month, November 25, when everybody's listening to this. He gave a presentation that was more a little bit inside baseball to the exosuit community. And one of the things that he talked about is don't overpromise. This is big enough. So, and this is sort of for exosuits and stuff like, look at the real numbers, don't inflate stuff. But at the same time, be proud where you've got good data. Because again, in our industry, starting this new category, one of the things is just this, like, it's like a broken record for a lot of people is, these are really cool. They're really cool. They're coming someday, but there's not enough big longitudinal data that there's not enough big long-term usage yet. And that's actually kind of not true. I mean, that was true in 2019, 2020, 2021, but like we alone, HeroWear has 2 different published studies with over 275,000 hours of work in an exosuit, and with 2 different studies that are that way, showing dramatic injury reduction and other stuff.
Yeah.
And there's other companies that have them as well. I think Mark totaled up in his presentation. I want to say it was more than 10. I want to say 11's the number in my head, somewhere north of 10 of these big scale longitudinal studies. And obviously, as the industry gets more mature, that number will get bigger. But I don't think we have done as good a job as we should of letting people know that we're at that stage, that we are like, this stuff is ready for prime time. You're not the first one to jump in the pool anymore. Like other people have been doing this. It's been used long-term, and so I think that, again, kind of coming full circle to that marketing thing is like, things are getting hard enough to believe. Don't stretch it. But where you've got some good data and good stories to tell them confidently, right? Yeah. And don't think about what's really going to set up trust with your audience and find that message and lean into that.
That's valuable. The challenge you mentioned earlier, and I wanted to bring this up, is this idea of not being able to share stories from clients because they don't want to go public. But you did have a workaround for that. I'd love for you to share.
Oh, sure. Well, and I'm almost tempted not to say this because I don't want our competitors to copy it too much. But again, honestly, the exosuit industry overall doing well helps everybody right now. So, like I said, we had lots of customers using lots of exosuits, all this sort of stuff. And we couldn't. There's actually sort of 2 different tactics we've used to do this. One was we again trade shows, conferences.
Yep.
They're really great. We sponsored a panel at a
Mm-hmm.
trade show and said, "Hey, we're going to do a panel." And so we started inviting the customers and said, "Hey, I'm going to be on a panel, or we're going to host a panel
Yeah.
on exosuit implementation. Would you like to be on the panel?" And some of them started saying yes, which was awesome. And so we were able to, URM Foods and Amerisure and another company, which I won't say because they have since rescinded it. They had a change in
That's
management. They have
fine.
rescinded
Yeah.
asking us not to use their name.
That's okay.
But for a few months there, we were able to use their name. If you want to go back and look at our presentation at ProMat in 2025,
Yeah.
you can see the company that was allowed to be named back then. It's a big name that everybody's heard of. And then the other piece that we were able to do that again got a couple of companies to come forward was we gave them an award.
Smart.
This is our PR agency's idea. I will not take credit for this one. We made up our own award because we honestly it sounds disingenuous when I say it as like we tricked them. It really wasn't. It was we were sincerely looking again back to that idea of like we're having lots of success. We're just having trouble figuring out how to say it. Like it just feels weird to awkwardly put out a press release. It's like, by the way, we've sold X number of exosuits or whatever. And like, but being able to put out a press release that says we gave an award to Sean Lacey at the Royal Australian Air Force and Corey Nemsick, I believe his last name is, at Rust-Oleum, and oh my gosh, I'm suddenly Phil Heidi at URM.
Okay.
Like we gave these guys awards, and so we're able to name them publicly. And so the companies, that had previously kind of hemmed and hawed when they said, "Oh, by the way, I want to give Corey an award," the comms teams at those companies were like, "This is awesome."
Yeah, of course. That's so smart.
Those are, and again, it doesn't. It's not trying to be sneaky. It's trying to say it helped them even see. This is worth celebrating, guys. You shouldn't be embarrassed about this. Like, this is cool.
Well, thanks, Paul, for coming on and sharing such valuable insights. And I think, people are always thinking about these go-to-market strategies and ways to market challenging products or, category inventing products, so to speak. And so I think what you've done with HeroWear is really admirable. And I think there's a ton of great takeaways here for the audience. So I appreciate you being open with a little bit of the playbook. I think it's going to inspire the listeners on coming up with ideas of their own. So for folks who want to learn more about HeroWear or get connected into your space, where's the best way to meet?
So you find us on HeroWearExo.com. So that's HeroWearExo, as in exosuit, EXO.com. So HeroWearExo.com. And we're on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn if anybody wants to reach out or anything like that.
Okay. We'll make sure all those links in the show notes. Thanks for your time, Paul. I really appreciate it.
Thank you much. All right, bye.
Thanks for tuning in and making the choice to listen to this podcast. If you liked what you've heard today, please don't forget to subscribe.